What's crack-a-lackin', people? I am back. I've been getting many DMs about Fast 10. People are eager to get some updates, and at some point I was going to do an update, but I went to Europe a couple of weeks ago to a car show where I got to see my old Supra. You probably saw that video last Saturday. The car is still in a private collection. I got to meet the owner and I had a great time over there. I met a lot of people who are following the franchise and received many gifts from fans and had some great talks with people like Tom Boland, Nico Van Spalen, Renee Heller, and many memorable discussions and some interesting conversations, to say the least. But the week before I went over to Holland, the internet was abuzz with spy shots that were taken on set at the Toretto house. I didn't know anything about it. One of my followers shared the pictures and I posted them to my Instagram, and it seemed to raise more questions than it answered, so I had to dig a little more. That story is coming up right after the break. I don't know if you know this, but I actually now have a merch store, and if you haven't checked out the video description below my videos, then you're missing out. Currently, I've got a pack full of movie quote t-shirts, and more styles are being added every month, and new items are in development right now. So have a look, see if there's anything you like, and wear it with pride. The link is in the video description below. So most of you know I haven't worked with the franchise since Tokyo Drift, so much of the information that comes to me comes from vendors supporting the production, friends who are around the world who happen to be close to where certain things are being filmed, or they're shipping goods to it, or handing, or stuff that's coming through their work and that kind of stuff, and even local photographers who send these photographs to me and tell me what's going on, which is really kind of cool. I really appreciate that. If you're one of those people doing that, keep doing that. But we do know a few things. We know that there's going to be an R34 GTR featured in the film. We saw it at the end of Fast 9. We know, of course, that Dodge is still involved with the movie, so we're going to see 1,000 Dodge vehicles over and over and over again. Will we see any cars from the early movies as we get to the end, Fast 10 and Fast 11? No guarantees, but I have to think that they're going to work it in one way or another. I'm still struggling with the fact that Dom is still in an antiquated Dodge Charger, right? Even if they modify it, it's just there's just nothing you can do to a Dodge Charger to keep up with modern cars like Koenigseggs, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bugattis, and all that kind of stuff. Why does Dom keep going into some variant of a 1970 Dodge Charger, or the worse yet, the new ones? Before you used to throw me at Scat Packs and L-Cats on me. You ever seen one on a road course? No, for a reason. You know why? They can only go straight and sometimes actually stop. So stop, Dodge. Just stop. So what other kind of cars are going to have? Electric cars. DeLorean's new Alpha 5 will be making an appearance. I personally think it's a good looking car, and I like the basic shape. I'm not sure about the Lamborghini doors. Seems to be they're trying to pander to the boy racer crowd, or try to make this car with something it's not. But with the 6-figure price tag, boy racers are priced out of the market anyway, so we won't have to worry about all that kind of The DeLorean's no slouch. DeLorean says it does 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds, which is kind of slow by electric car standards, but the DeLorean also said it has 155 mile per hour top speed, but hopefully the brakes are better than the Tesla. I don't know if you saw that video about a guy trying to race a stock Tesla and they ran out of brakes at 170 miles an hour. It's also said that the car is going to provide 300 miles of range. Yep, sure. Okay. Let it sit in LA traffic on a hot day on air conditioning and get home for 300 miles. We'll see what happens, but that nobody cares about that. We're talking about this electric car in this movie. What's interesting is, why is DeLorean putting this vehicle in this movie? It's all about boy racers. People, the audience is about 16 years old to about 29 years old. This car is going to cost $125,000. The average electric car in 2022 cost almost $65,000, which is 40% higher than the average car. I submit that people from 16 to 29 years old are not going to have the scratch to kind of buy that car. So maybe they're just doing it for brand awareness and that kind of thing, but I don't see a lot of people ditching their G35s and Scat Packs for a DeLorean, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. I'm really interested in how they're going to integrate the DeLorean into the story. And more importantly, what are they going to use for the sound effects for the car? A vacuum cleaner? A Jetsons spaceship from the cartoon from the 1970s? I don't know what, but that should be interesting. But if they dub in a Hemi in there, I'm walking out of the theater. That's my pledge.
No way. Not this time.
And rounding out the interesting, curious vehicle choices that they've made for this movie, there's a British company called Ariel, makers, of course, of the hugely successful Ariel Atom, have loaned their new hypercar to the production. It's simply called the hypercar. It's a hypercar that's called hypercar. How did they come up with that? It's genius. It's genius. But the car is actually pretty badass. The car uses a turbine engine like those used in helicopters to charge the batteries. The word hypercar is an abbreviation which stands for high performance carbon reduction, meaning a smaller carbon footprint. Oh, good. I was looking for a car with a smaller carbon footprint. I'm going to trade in my GTR.
How dare you!
Given that the turbine is used to recharge the batteries, it's more friendly to the environment, and if you believe the claims, it makes a difference. But what I really care about, and all that stuff is good, and it's moving in the right direction for climate change and whatever else. I just want to know how much horsepower it makes, and the answer is 1,180. Okay, now I like it. Where do I put in my order? The car looks badass. It looks like a villain's car from any of the 1970s afternoon cartoons that I used to watch, or from any Batman movie. It looks like a special prototype that Batman came up with, or maybe it looks like more like it was made from spare parts from Darth Vader's TIE fighter, or even his helmet, but it's just the coolest looking. And with that kind of horsepower, it'll stuff your jiggly bits into your back pocket. So I'm good with all of that. Now, we don't know who will be driving this car in the movie, but it probably won't get a whole bunch of screen time, given the fact that this is, I think, pretty much one of one prototypes, and I don't think Ariel has the money or inclination to provide 3 or 4 stunt cars, but maybe Dennis McCarthy's team can build up some replicas for stunts, which they usually do, and they've done a great job with that, so we'll see about that. But I'm not sure about how people are going to accept the inclusion of electric cars. Of course, these aren't Priuses. They were talking about multi-million-dollar prototypes and pre-production models, so they should go over pretty well, but they're testing the waters. We'll see what happens. In other Fast 10 news, a story popped up on one news channel and said Cody Walker will stand in for Paul to bring back Paul. Not news. Cody Walker has been listed on the IMDb for this movie for more than a year, so everybody knew he was coming back, so it wasn't a surprise. And what is a surprise is a new member, Brie Larson, who is said to be cast in the role of Brian's sister, but that's not public information. She played Captain Marvel in the 2019 movie, which grossed over $1 billion, so she certainly got box office drop. Good choice to bring her on board, so I'm looking forward to that, and I hope she winds up being Brian's sisters, but then now they're going to have a lot of stuff to explain. Brian has a sister for 20 years, and he's never talked about it.
Not gonna say a word.
Look, I'm all for another badass female cast member. It will be interesting to see how Vin Diesel, wrote her into the script. As I said, the rumor is that she's going to play Brian's sister, but who knows? I'm confused about all this. I thought the Toretto crew is all about family, yet Dom has a brother that he didn't talk to for 20 years. Brian has a sister that he hasn't talked to for 20 years or never mentioned about. And now there's talk of introducing Toretto's grandmother. What? Oh my God. It's just like they go to dinner, these stars go to dinner with people. Yeah, I'm gonna put you in my movie. You're gonna be the grandmother. You're gonna be the bus driver. You're gonna be this guy. What?
No! God, please, no! No!
And how do you confirm that rumor? You go to IMDb and you see Rita Moreno listed as Abuelo Toretto. Abuelo means grandmother in Spanish. It's happening. It's really happening. Really, at this point, I don't even think Dom's dad is dead. But this is some Maury Povich. You are the father. You are the grandmother. The whole family should go sit in a Maury Povich episode. But the best news of all day, Cardi B is coming back. Yay! If you like Cardi B, comment below. I'm taking names. And you're all going to be off my Christmas list. Charlize Theron is coming back again as Cypher. I'm good with that. And you can't have a Fast and Furious movie without Sung Kang, so thank God he's coming back. Is he going to die again, or what's going to happen? I've also learned more about the scene that was leaked from filming in Italy. Remember that? I posted a couple of pictures on my Instagram. We saw big steel balls rolling down a road. I'm not sure what Air Force is using spheres as bombs, but I can tell you that's not the way they normally do it. Turns out that the bombs are heading toward the Vatican. So I guess Dom's team is now sworn in for the Swiss Guard, and the team attempts to intercept the bombs. And of course, they succeed, but not without some hiccups and close calls, of course. So I guess Dom's crew is now part of the Swiss Guards, as I was saying. Those are the troops that guard the Pope. God bless you. What are we doing, people? What are we doing? Why not? Okay, why not? Oh. And the cast and the crew are saying the same thing. There have been disagreements about the storyline. It's become very, very challenging. When Justin Lin quit as director, the report said that he was tired of the constant changes. I imagine that Justin was the voice of reason and that he had just had enough. It was just not worth it. And basically he said was, this film is not worth my mental health. And I think that says everything. So I took that to mean that there's going to be more wacky ideas as evidenced by the several deaths of characters in the previous movies that they eventually resurrected, and things like the long lost siblings from decades ago, and of course things like the Fiero being launched into space means that they really have nothing of substance. It's all shock and awe, but audiences love it because they keep going back. What was news to me was the untimely exit of Justin Lin resulted in a 3-week timeout for the production team just after they got to Portugal as the script was being reworked, meaning changes. Now to be clear, script changes are not unusual. It's not unusual even in the middle of filming. It's not even unusual on the morning and they're going to film a scene. They're going to change dialogue or something else or anything, not major, but something that they want to change. So that's not unusual, but changing cities or completely rebuilding cars to make them work for a particular scene or different action sequence, that's big stuff. And that's very complex and it adds extra cost to the franchise. And so basically people were sitting around in Portugal for a couple of weeks while they got everything together. Frankly, I sympathize with the writers. It has to be really hard to come up with new stories, especially since it seems that Fast and Furious scripts are basically being written by committee up to a point, only to be vetoed by Vin Diesel or just completely rewritten by Vin Diesel, who seems to have the last word, and the decisions seem to be final up to a point. I've heard people call it ego or narcissism, but Universal has a word for it: success. These movies are making money hand over fist, hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. Vin Diesel himself is worth $225 million personally. Clearly, what he's doing is working. How do you argue with the success? You don't like that hamburger, you go to another restaurant, need another hamburger, but people are still coming back to these movies. There are people saying that they're milking the franchise for every nickel, okay? As I'll use the restaurant analogy as well. They make a product. They make a hamburger, and people say that this hamburger is really good, and they go there all the time, but a lot of people say their hamburger sucks, so they go to another place. But why would this hamburger place change their recipe if they're making tons of money? That's the only way I can describe it in easy terms. And I have heard from some people who work on the movies to say they're just basically saying to themselves, what in God's name are they doing with these crazy stories? But everybody is very professional about it. They know that they're getting paid to do a job. It's not their job to cast aspersions or question the direction unless they get asked, to contribute. Actors get paid to act, and production people get paid to produce a movie. It's not their place. Other people are in charge of the direction of the movie, and that comes right from the top. And I give great credit to Justin Lin for stepping away because he didn't want to be part of that, and he didn't want to look back at his career and say to himself, boy, I really wish I hadn't done that movie. It's just not me. I want to be doing something else. And having come back from that 100 Auto Live event in Holland, most of the fans I talked to had the same comments and concerns. It's not about street racing anymore. The plots are wild. It doesn't make sense. They don't understand the shift to spy movies and heist movies. And in their words, many of the cars don't feel special anymore. They're mostly telling me that the cars from the first couple of movies were really special. And all these cars now are basically muscle cars with a set of wheels and not much else. There's nothing interesting in the interiors, or they're just driving bone stock supercars on the set and they just drive around without, Paganis and all that, Bugattis and all that kind of thing, which is not bad, but they're not really interesting. You can see them on any car show. The other biggest question I get is, where's Brian? Where is Brian? We've gone through 8, 9, and now through 10. Where's Brian? Where did he go? He just disappeared? He went off this way? And nobody's heard, not a phone call? Nothing? In the middle of the franchise, basically Brian sends his wife Mia on these deadly missions while he plays daddy daycare. To me and everybody else, it seems absolutely ridiculous. And basically, there's just no excuse. So let's wait and see what happens. Whatever happens, I'll be there in the theater. Thanks for watching.